think I'll get out of this place whilst I'm still in one piece.
Joan? I'm not surprised.
Yes. Well, officer solidarity is one thing, but victimisation is just not on. The sooner she leaves, the better.
You mean she's resigning?
Well, she'll have no choice. The VJ will have to put in a report, remember?
Well, I wouldn't lay too much faith in that if I were you. You know what the department's like.
Damn the department. He believed Joan was running a book.
No. He gave Smith and Latham the benefit of the doubt, and that's all he did.
That's the same thing.
No, it isn't. There wasn't enough evidence for him to report it.
Well, if he doesn't, I will.
Look, Meg, when are you just going to let things get back to normal?
Because things will never get back to normal as long as that woman continues to work in this place. She shouldn't even be at Wentworth.
Unfortunately, she's an officer.
She's a criminal. It makes no difference that she's wearing a uniform.
It may make no difference to you, but it has to me. If my officers don't...
That's ridiculous.
Is the governor gone?
She's seeing the VJ to his car.
I expect she's got quite a lot to talk about.
Yes, and one or two matters I'd like cleared up myself. Oh, Governor, could I have a word with you if it's convenient?
Well, no, it isn't at the moment, but I'd like to see all the senior staff in my office first thing in the morning. Would you arrange that, please, Mrs. Powell?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
Mrs. Davidson?
Yes?
I take it the VJ's going to make a report.
Certainly, but it won't be going any further. I'm sorry, Meg, but the department
wants things smoothed over as quietly as possible. I see. So Ferguson gets away with it again. And if that's not bad enough, we're introducing stricter security measures to make life even worse for the women.
Well, I don't have any choice. And the women must learn that we run the prison, not them. Our record hasn't been very impressive lately, and if I hadn't introduced tougher discipline, the department would have insisted on it. They regard Miss Ferguson as an example to us, not someone to be sacked.
So if we all want to keep our jobs, we just have to kick the women a few more times.
That isn't fair. The rules are quite clear. And when discipline has been maintained, there'll be room for review, not before.
But the end doesn't always justify the means.
What's this meeting about?
You know as much as I do.
Well, I hope the governor hasn't changed her mind about tougher security measures. They'll be needed more than ever now that Smith and Latham have got off scot-free.
I'm sure Mrs. Davidson will take whatever steps are necessary.
Because I don't think we need any new regulations. Just implementing the existing ones will do.
For example?
Well, the no communication rule. Now, the rules definitely state that officers must not communicate with prisoners except to give orders.
Yes, well, everybody knows that's the rule, but it's impossible to stick to.
It is in here. What can you expect when some of the staff think more of the prisoners than they do their fellow officers?
If my memory serves me correctly, Miss Ferguson, you're as guilty as the rest of us.
Precisely. That's why the rule should be strictly adhered to. Now, if I were Deputy Governor, I would...
Which you're not. Okay. Let's get something straight. I don't like you. You shouldn't even be here. With feelings running so high, I would have kept you on sick leave until things quietened down. However, you are here. So you'll just remember, I'll decide what action to take, and you will follow the orders.
Good. We both want the same thing, then. A quiet, efficiently run prison. Because if there's any more trouble, some of us may not be as good at holding on to our jobs as others.
It will have the desired effect, unless the women are given sufficient incentive to cooperate.
If they know we're going to come down on them like a ton of bricks, that'll be incentive enough.
The trouble with physical violence is that it can work both ways.
Quite. So I have decided to instigate a point system. Each woman will be given 1 point each day. These points will go towards the grand total throughout the prison. When the prison has earned sufficient points, the women will get extra privileges. If a prisoner is put on a charge, she will lose 5 points.
Of course. That way, she not only lets herself down, but she lets the other women down as well.
If they behave, they get 1 point. If they're put on a charge, they lose 5?
That's right.
Well, hardly seems fair to me.
Well, perhaps for minor offences, those not justifying a formal charge, they could lose, say, well, just 1 point.
Certainly. We want to give them the maximum incentive to cooperate.
Yes, well, the difficulty with minor offences is that they're difficult to define. A woman can say something in a certain way now. It could be insolence, but it could just be normal speech.
Oh, I think we can rely on our own experience to decide that.
A better way would be to stop them talking altogether. That's what the rule book says anyway. There should be no communication between officers and prisoners except to give or receive orders.
Oh, sorry, I can't agree with that. That's ridiculous.
I'm not so sure. Getting involved with the prisoners has always caused trouble in the past. The women seem to exploit any show of kindness. Yes. If we're going by the book, let's go the whole way. I think it's a good idea.
So do I.
When you have earned sufficient points, you will get special privileges. 1,000 points will buy you a television set. 800
That could
points...
take months.
The whole prison is involved, Smith. You could have a television set within 3 weeks if you all behave.
Fat chance of that.
Why can't we all just chip in and buy a TV set? We'll be willing, wouldn't we?
Yeah. You obviously don't understand. The points don't buy you a television set. They buy you the privilege of having it.
Having a television is not a privilege nowadays. Everyone ought to have one.
I don't need to remind you that all of this is entirely your own fault. If the prison had not been set on fire, these restrictions would not be necessary.
Not everyone was to blame for burning the prison down. So why should they all suffer?
I'm not going to argue with you, Smith. Now, there is one more thing. We intend implementing the no communication rule. In future, officers will only give prisoners orders. Prisoners will only speak to officers when spoken to, or when they wish to see me or a social worker.
We haven't even got a social worker.
One will be brought in when necessary. I will not have my officers wasting their time on social work. If you all cooperate, there is no reason why life should be difficult under this system. If not, you only have yourselves to blame. Now, to show our good faith, I intend giving you 200 points to start off.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, well, they've got to give us something, haven't they?
Yeah.
Otherwise, how can they take it away?
This offer is not acceptable to you, Smith? Very well. You can all start from zero. Keep an eye on them, folks.
Governor?
You just don't know how to keep your mouth shut, do you?
Again, Gaffney, I didn't quite hear you.
All right, any fighting and you'll all be on a charge. And that should be worth about 100 points. So it's up to you.
Why did you do it, Bea? At least we'd have had to start towards the TV.
You wouldn't have got it anyway. It's just a carrot there dangling under your nose. The closer you get to it, the more they've got you under control.
Oh, listen to the newcomer. She's making sense.
Yeah. For someone who's never been inside, Carter, you certainly know the score, don't you?
Like Bea said, it's just common sense.
Yeah, of course.
Would you pay attention, please, ladies? Now, this is the chart that will record the number of points you earn. Target's up here on the right-hand side. There'll be 1,000 points for a television set and so on. Now, I don't have to point out to you that a duplicate book will be held by the staff, so it'll be impossible to cheat.
Not impossible, only more difficult.
What was that, Birdsworth?
Oh, I just said I wonder how many points we started off with, Miss Ferguson.
Just one day's total. Because it's a pity you lost the 200 points that Mrs. Davidson offered you in the first place.
Oh, look now, but I think she's having a go at you.
I didn't know better. I'd say she was trying to make me lose points. Hey, Mrs. Morris, don't suppose any chance getting 2 points on Sundays, you know, double time.
Don't be insolent, Smith. You've just lost your day's point.
That wasn't important.
Of course it wasn't. If it was, she'd be on a charge. Then she'd have lost 5 points.
All right, on your feet.
Why? You're jumpy, aren't you, Carter? Relax. It's not you. Not this time. Now, Gaffney, get your things out of your cell.
Where am I going? You're moving to where there are no matches and cleaning fluid to play with.
You can't do that.
Don't disobey an order.
You can walk or be carried.
Look, how long am I going to be there?
You'll find out. Hurry up.
I want to see a lawyer.
Move.
You rotten vicious, what are you picking on me for? I ain't done nothing.
Move.
God, it's boring around here with nothing to do. I know. Why don't we get a couple of snails and race them?
It's a nice thought, love, but I don't think I could stand the excitement.
Oh.
Wouldn't be any point anyway. We haven't got enough dough to run a book.
Well, why don't we play volleyball? We still got the stuff in the store.
Fergo wouldn't let us. I suppose you can always ask. Want to play volleyball?
You know the rules, Smith. No privileges.
What privilege? All we're asking to do is play with a flaming ball that's lying over in that shed doing nothing, so why not?
You heard what I said, Smith. Another word and you'll be on a charge.
What's going on, Miss Ferguson?
We want to play volleyball.
Well, you have to earn your privileges, Smith.
So how many points is it going to cost us to get a ball to play with?
20.
Okay, you lot.
The women can have an extra half hour's exercise.
Ball to play with. Let's see a show of hands.
We'll show them that we are prepared to give and take if they are prepared to reciprocate.
Come on, Lizzie, get it! Oh, can't you do better than that? There you go, I'm tough down.
Come on, love. Thank you, time you packed it in. I'll do the same. There you go, Maxine.
That's fair. We lose Lizzie, and you lot lose B.
Yeah, sit down. You all right? Oh, yeah. Ticker's doing funny things, though. I think you should have played it all.
It's better than freezing to death.
Yeah, I suppose it did some good.
You know, I've been figuring it out. We only had 50 points. You lost yours yesterday. Now they've lost another 20. And at this rate, it'll be Christmas before we get a teeth.
Don't you worry. We're not going to go any good out of this point system. It's just going to get worse and worse. I wouldn't be surprised if Ferguson starts charging us points to go to the loo.
Oh, Dave would never let it get as bad as that, would she?
I don't know so much. Looks like Ferguson can do what she likes at the moment.
All right, you lot, that's it. Everybody inside.
Hey, Mrs. Davidson said we could have an extra half an hour.
Your half hour's up.
Yeah? Well, I reckon your watch is fast.
Oh, you arguing with me, Daniels?
Hey, Maxie. Forget it.
You're learning, Smith.
I've got to go back to WA.
I thought you'd been inside before.
Parkwoods, 2 murders, 1 a cop.
What's the difference in? One jail's same as the other.
Not in West Australia, it's not.
Over there, they still have the death penalty for killing cops.
Hell.
Do you know what you've done, Lawson? You've just put a noose around my neck. You hear that? I killed a cop.
Oh, now, come on, cool it. They haven't invoked the death penalty in Western Australia for years.
They can change their mind any time they like.
I didn't know.
You stupid bitch. And you drunken slob. I'm gonna hang because of you.
Yeah, well, maybe if you'd come clean with us in the first place. Anyway, tell us about this cop you wasted. Was that during the robbery?
The robbery came later, after I got out of Parkwoods.
Oh, you're a right little charmer, aren't you, Carter?
It's not Carter. It's Mackenzie. Nola Mackenzie. And I had my reasons. I spent 20 years in a stinking little hole in Sydney with a drunken family that only sobered up long enough to draw their dole checks. When I ran off and married Eddie, I thought I was getting away from it all. Perth was so clean. For 10 years I stuck it out. But it was like bashing my head against a brick wall. He was a born loser right from the word go.
Yeah, well, we've all been through that.
Have you ever lived on the Nullarbor? There's nothing out there except lousy scrub and the trains going past. I used to stand on the veranda trying to keep the dust out of my eyes, watching the Indian Pacific go past. All those people going somewhere. And me, stuck in the middle of nowhere.
So why didn't you hop on a train and clear off?
What with? He kept me broke. He blew every cent we had on booze.
And so you blasted him?
Yeah. He was sitting there on the veranda cracking tinnies by the dozen. Stinking hot. He told me I stank. He laughed and called me a filthy slag. So I got his rifle, and I just kept firing. Then I got into the truck and cleared off. Tried to get away.
How far did you go?
Not far enough. Eddie's best mate was the local copper. Oh, he was a real pig. He got on the radio to Perth and then he came after me. It took 3 shots to finish him.
You don't do things by halves, do you?
I thought I could be something. Go somewhere. Next thing I know, I'm in the slammer with a death penalty over me head. Well, I thought I was entitled to some life. So I busted out. I did a bank over. Hopped on a goods train. And for the first time in my life, I was on my way. And now this. Oh, yes. I've got a lot to thank you for.
How do you reckon I'd go as an air hostess?
Come, Moffat. The last 2 hours you have been everything from a nurse's aide to a flaming trapezoid.
Well, it's all right for you, innit? You've got a trade. I fancy myself as an hairdresser. I saw what you did to Maxine's hair. I reckon I could do that.
Hey, do a pick-up for us, will you? Oh, Mrs. Powell, listen, Patty here needs some career advice and Chrissy is about to enter the world of business. So any chance of getting a careers advisor in here?
There'll be a social worker in here before your time's up. You can see him then too. Since you already have a job, get on with it.
Can I go to the loo, please, Mrs. Powell?
Make it quick. Smith! I just told you to get on with your work.
She gets meaner by the minute, that one. What do you reckon she's made of?
Granite and bile and all things vile.
Oh, sorry about that. You're learning fast. Yeah, well, I got a good teacher, haven't I? Mackenzie. Yeah. Figure I might as well be on the winning side. You'll be all over the walls if you try that again. Just remember that.
Where's she headed?
Round to the loo, I guess.
Then follow her.
Oh, she's pretty tough.
Maybe you want to side with her.
No, of course not.
Then move.
Oh, hello. Hey, that's quite a load you got there.
Yeah. Do you mind if I leave it here? You can check it through when you get a chance. I've got to get going.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm in a bit of a rush.
You're in a bit of a mess. What's the matter?
I don't know. I'm confused, that's all.
Do you want to talk about it?
I can't think straight.
Look, why don't you sign in? I'll take you through the staff room, get you a cup of coffee. I'll be in the staff room if you need me.
Get out of my way.
You in a hurry to get back to work?
I've got things to do. Yeah, like lagging. Just do your 14 days and stay out of it.
You can't stay out of things, not in here. You know that.
Oh, stupid bitch. I told her to keep out of it. Now just stay out of my way.
Thanks to you, they're shipping me out of here soon. And I'm going to give you something to remember me by, lagger.
Where am I? The staff room or Driscoll House?
Judy wasn't feeling very well.
Thanks, Mrs. Morris.
Help! Someone help us here!
Sounds like Chrissy.
Yeah, you stay here, Brian. It better be good. What's happened?
Well, what does it look like? She's been run over by a Batsy bus.
I'll get her to the hospital. You make sure Brian gets back to reception.
Jude, how you going? You're joining
Brian,
the other
I
side.
told
have
you to stay inside. Now you two get back to the laundry and move it.
Well, didn't anyone get the number of the bus then?
I warned you that Paddy and Hazel were not to be heavied.
I don't hear too good.
Well, then maybe we should clean out your ears or give you a hole on the head.
Scrubs will be here any second.
As for you, miss, you've been here 5 minutes and already you're butting your nose in.
I didn't even touch her.
That's because Paddy got in first, so you just keep your nose clean.
I hand out my own favours.
Well, you're about to hand out your last one.
Like what?
Like telling the cops you were responsible for that robbery. A sort of farewell gesture.
Screw.
Right. I want to know who's responsible for putting Lawson into hospital. The longer it takes, the more points you lose.
I did.
Alone?
Do I look like I'd need help?
Right. The governor's office. Get out.
How come she owned up?
She's up to something.
Yeah, it wouldn't be to save our points.
They're going to sling her straight in the pound.
Then it takes that much longer for her to be shipped back to face the death sentence.
Do you reckon they'll really hang her?
Who knows? But I bet she's in no hurry to find out.
Hey, you look like you got done like a dinner.
I never see anything interesting when I'm in the kitchen.
There was nothing to see.
Well, by the look of you,
Get a
love.
rest, Lizzie.
Well, what's eating her?
It's Nola doing paddy over. She's in solitary for it.
Gee, solitary will get her good and mad.
Nah, it'll only help to cool her down.
I wouldn't bet on that, Lizzie.
Oh, come on, knock it off, you lot. Nola may be tough, but she's not stupid. And she has been warned.
Well, that don't always work.
No, but at least it...
Well, is this a private party or can anyone join in?
Anyone, not anything.
What was that, Latham?
I didn't say nothing.
It isn't what I asked you when I came in.
I'm sorry.
You've lost your point for the day.
Oh, hang on, what reason?
For failing to answer my question. Oh, Lawson. Oh, not a pretty sight, but a distinct improvement. Your hands hurt too.
No.
Well, put 'em to work.
In there, it's got to have a green bit on it.
Watch it.
Well, to hell with it. It's a flipping waste of time, isn't it?
Oh, what should we do? All sit around and study to be brain surgeons? Yeah.
Seriously, though, Bea. I reckon I should have something to look forward to when I leave this dump. I think I will fill them forms out for the vacational guidance.
Well, why not? Give you another private talk with Barry Simmons.
Yeah, he didn't half tickle my fancy, know what I mean?
Yeah, and you provide your own feather and all.
Oh, get off! Leave me alone!
Prisoners will at all times speak in a voice loud enough for the supervising officer to hear. There will be no plotting and planning when I'm around.
We're working on a jigsaw puzzle. Oh, in case you hadn't noticed.
And you wipe that insolent look off your face, Latham, or you'll lose all tomorrow's points as well.
Chrissy. We can't even have a decent natter in peace now. So help me, much more of this and I'm going to go potty. Here, hang about. I've just had a thought. Well, this stupid point system they got, why don't we have one of our own?
For the screws, you mean?
Yeah.
How would you work it?
Well, we could start them all off with 500 and then knock points off for every...
With misdemeanour.
That's the one.
Hey, yeah! We could run in competition against themselves.
Yeah.
I like it. We set up our own chart. And God help the loser.
Chrissy. And are you quite satisfied you can help these women?
I can only try. Look, if it's okay by you, Mrs. Davidson, I'd like to see the both of them again tomorrow. And now that I've established contact, I'd like them to feel that a one-to-one relationship is developing. See, what I want to do is to stimulate their own ideas about what they want to do on release.
I'll leave instructions for you to interview them when you come in.
Thanks, Mrs. Davidson. Much obliged. Oh, good afternoon, Miss Ferguson.
I know the sort of one-to-one relationship that Lawson and Latham prefer, and I don't think it's what Simmons has in mind at all. Social worker for scum like that is a waste of the taxpayers' money.
That remains to be seen, Miss Ferguson. Heather, I shall be a little late in tomorrow morning. I'm paying a visit to Driscoll House at the taxpayer's expense.
Yeah, does it? Now, look, come over here. See, I've got all the names of the screws down there.
Yeah.
Then all these columns, that's for all their points.
Yeah.
And then they've all started with 500.
Oh, guess a look. Oh, I don't reckon it's right to start Fergo off the same as everybody else. I reckon she should have a few extra points so that she won't go bust too quick.
Yeah. Hey, who decides if they lose points or not?
Oh, we do. We make up our own rules, see? Here, I've got a good mind to knock 5 points off Ferguson anyway for making our life a misery.
Right, you lot, line up and be smart about it. Come on, Birdsworth, get the lead out. Who's responsible for this?
We all did it.
Oh, it's just a bit of fun.
Well, if you want to play stupid, childish pranks, You can expect to be treated like children. So much for your point system. Now, trying to goad me into taking all your points just so you can make an issue of it was a bad move. If I see any more of it, I'll dock a whole day's quota. Oh, and of course, leaving the recreation room in an untidy state can cost you a lot of points. Clean it up.
Yeah, Missy, I'll give you a hand.
Well, it was good for a joke, I suppose, while it lasted.
Yeah, the freak's reaction was very interesting. She took it more like a threat.
That's because she'd have a fair idea of a reward for losing all the points.
Yeah, there's a chance here for some nice psychological warfare. They could sweat it out wondering what we're going to do to them.
What could we do to them, Bea?
Nothing. The screw's punishment will be in the waiting and not knowing.
I'd much rather rough them up.
Yeah, well, subtlety never was your strong point, was it, Chrissy? No, we'll keep putting the chart up no matter how often they rip it down. And if they dock us points, we'll retaliate by taking points off them. And all the time they'll be wondering what's going to happen to the lucky loser.
Yes, very clever, Latham. Just found this in the rec room. You don't seem to be too popular.
Yeah, it's almost identical to the one I took down last night, apart from my score.
Well, why wasn't I told?
I'm sorry, I didn't think it was important at the time.
No, it's probably just a prank to needle us.
Well, are you going to do anything about it?
Nah, don't think so.
Well, surely they'll lose all their points.
Why? You've just finished telling me you didn't think it was very important, and I'm inclined to agree with you. No, I think it's best that we just let them know we're not very amused. Otherwise, they're only going to feel they've achieved something.
Righto, Mackenzie. Stir yourself.
What for?
Because I say so.
You think you're good enough?
I know it.
You've had it, you bitch.
Oh, that's very funny, Mackenzie. You step out of Wentworth and they'll have you back on a West Australian death row in the same day. And you think I've had it.
You pig!
Think, Mackenzie. There won't be any extra charges from me to keep you here. And I'll say the other women bashed you. They'll have you back in WA so fast your head'll spin. They're very funny like that. They don't like you getting killed before they have a chance to get you to the gallows.
I didn't think you screws were allowed to talk to us.
I do what I like with scum like you.
When there's no one else around.
You're learning. But you won't be here long enough to use the knowledge. By the way, there was another cop killer on death row, wasn't there?
So what?
They hanged him this morning.
Maybe they'll transfer Nola. What do you reckon?
Oh, hell, Hazel, I'm getting sick of this. I told you I'd look after you.
I suppose. Just that some of the others are real crook on me now. And Nola will be out of the pound any time.
Reckon you'll need Bea around you then.
Why don't you shut your big mouth?
Oh, get lost, Granny.
Do you want a fat lip?
Hey, cut it out. It's not worth it.
How come you're all down on me?
Well, figure it out for yourself. For a start, you can't keep your mouth shut, like when you're told, for instance.
You're all worse than a screw.
Hey, Bea!
Okay, ladies, let's have your attention. Sure, you all know what this is.
Oh, what is it, Mrs. Pell?
Yes, all right, all right. You've had your little joke. That's an end to it. You won't lose any points this time.
Good on you, Mrs. Pell.
However, if I do find any more of these score sheets, your points will be below 0. Hope I make myself clear.
Now, there is a sense of humour that deserves to lose at least 10 points.
Yeah. Oh, here comes a couple of more jokers and all.
OK, girls. Take a break.
God for that. This work's ruining my hands.
Hazel's not complaining. Come on, relax. A couple of days you'll be home free.
What if they don't take her back to the west?
You're joking. She killed a cop, remember? Those sand grabbers probably camped on Wentworth's doorstep right now.
You're right.
Why aren't you working?
Smoker.
On whose authority?
The governor's.
Don't get smart with me, Smith.
We are allowed to break every shift. Mrs. Davidson's orders.
Oh, really? Whose are these?
They're my...
Mustn't grab, Smith. Causes accidents. Oh, Kent.
Yeah?
Yes, what?
Yes, Miss Ferguson.
Your hearing's been set for tomorrow.
But why didn't Miss Solicitor know? Colleen, have you seen this?
I've seen similar ones. Where'd you get this?
Recreation room. Are there others?
Joan confiscated one last night, and I found the second one this morning. I gave the women a very direct warning about carrying on with it.
I seem to have missed all the action.
Don't worry. There'll be plenty of action once they find out how many points they're going to lose over it.
Some of them just never seem to learn. I'm afraid B. Smith and Chrissy Latham are behind it.
That much I guessed. Oh, God. The last entries in here are shocking. There's no excuse for officers doing sloppy work.
Prisoners must have lost all their points by now.
No, as a matter of fact, they've got many more than I would have expected.
Do you think the system's working?
It has to. Well, we can't give up now they've started their chart on us. They'd see that as a clear victory.
So, we're stuck with it. What a shame. What do you want?
An excuse to stay in Wentworth?
Well, you're a bit late. Hazel's out.
Like I said, you'll do.
Back off or I'll clobber you.
Oh, yeah, look at me, I'm scared.
Lay off, you stinking bitch!
Do yourself a favour, Lawson. Make it quick. Oh, I'm sorry, Paddy, but I can't let those mongrels hold me now, can I?
Where's Paddy? Probably in her dorm.
No, just look there.
That poor kid probably want to be by herself for a bit. Maybe she's still in the loo.
What are you grinning at?
Nothing. Oh, leave me alone, will you?
I asked you a question.
Oh, what is this? Do I have to go around sour-faced like the rest of you no-hopers?
Don't you call me names, you smart alecky trollop.
Where's Nola?
How would I know?
Is she after Paddy?
Oh, she might be.
Damn. Oh, I'll come with you.
She said she was going to the loo. I'll check there. You go look at yourselves.
You in there?
Murder. Premeditated. Looks like you're stuck with me now.
She was a pushover.
Bitch! Shoot the kid! What do you have?
What's going on in here?
Oh my God!
Come on, Smith!
Here comes here! Coming at you too!
He's mad! He's killed Paddy! Oh my God! Mrs. Ward, quickly! Right, keep an eye on these two. Just keep them apart.
I wonder if she knew she was doing me a favour.
Latham gone?
Yes, and she's worried sick about her daughter. Bound her so far away gives her sister-in-law the perfect excuse not to let the child visit.
Tough. If Latham is so concerned about motherhood, she should have given it a lot more thought before she wound up in here.
That still doesn't give the department the total right to ignore the women's basic...
Tell it to the governor. She wants to see anyway.
Meg, Lawson's been killed. We need the police ambulance quickly.
The governor knows.
You better come with me.
Right. This your doing?
Yeah. You're right, Smith.
Oh, sure. Everything's just great.
All right. Come on, Mackenzie. Smith, come with us. You wait here. The police are on their way.
Come along, Smith. She was lying there, dead. And Mackenzie was standing over her.
And you attacked Mackenzie.
Well, wouldn't you have?
Why, Mackenzie? I want to know what Lawson did that provoked such an unnecessary act.
Not a thing. It just seemed like a good idea at the time.
Don't insult my intelligence, Mackenzie. We both know that Lawson gave me information about you. And I am not unfamiliar with the prisoner's code on lagging.
Yeah. Well, that was just a little bonus. I wasn't after Lawson. She just happened to be the first one who walked in.
Bitch! That'll do, Smith.
Mrs. Powell, take Smith back to the others. She will have to make a statement to the police later.
Yeah, but what about her? If
I will make the decision, Smith. You may go.
Come on.
In all my years as governor, I don't think I have ever come across anyone as cold-blooded as you are, Mackenzie. You will be taken to solitary until the police arrive. And quite frankly, the longer you are kept away from the others, the better it will be for all of us. Miss Ferguson?
Come on, Mackenzie.
Sure, Miss Ferguson. Too bad I'd already packed my case to go back to WA. Now I don't reckon I'll be leaving here for a long time. What do you reckon?
Listen, let's not have any trouble, huh?
About time, too. I've been in here all on me own.
Thanks very
Oh,
much.
you know what I mean. Then Mrs. M comes in and tells us that Chrissy's been Shanghai.
Daddy's dead.
No one tells me anything anymore. You clear out. Nola's disappeared. Paddy's gone. I got
Paddy's
no one
dead.
to talk to. Oh, what are you on about?
She's dead. Did you hear me, Lizzie? Paddy's dead.
Oh, God. No. Oh, poor little mite.
Was it?
Oh.
She just walked into it in the shower blocker.
Why, babe? She'd already bashed her for lagging. Why, babe? Why?
Oh, no reason. Except to save her own rotten neck. It could have been anyone. You, or Trixie, or even me. Oh, what's happening in here, babe? What's happening?
Jeez, so she's really done it. Do you think she'd have the guts?
What do you know about it if you're in that bitch's plan?
I'm not honest. Well, she told me if she killed someone here, they couldn't take her back to hang. She said Hazel was first choice, but Hazel's gone. I thought it was just talk. I didn't think she'd have the nerve to follow through.
You've got any idea what it must be like to have your lungs fill up with water until they burst?
No.
Well, she's pretty good with kids. But let's see how she goes when she's got to face up to me.
Good morning. Can I help you?
Detective Skinner and Gilbert.
Yes, of course. Mrs. Davidson's expecting you. I'm Mrs. Powell, the Deputy Governor. Would you sign in, please? I've organised an interview room for you. Who would you like to see first?
Let's start with Mackenzie. She's really something else, isn't she?
Oh, yes, she certainly is. What about Smith?
We can get a statement from her later.
Right. Miss Ferguson, stay here until Heather arrives, will you?
Certainly, Mrs. Powell.
This way.
Ah, Miss Ferguson.
Good morning, sir.
Starting to think I should take up residence in this place. I see we've got another mess on our hands with this Lawson girl.
Of course, it's all so unnecessary.
No? What makes you say that?
Well, there was animosity between Mackenzie and the Lawson girl. In my opinion, security wasn't strict enough. But I really shouldn't say any more. It's not my place. I'll let the governor know
No,
you're here.
Miss Ferguson, please feel free. If I had a dozen officers like you, my job would be much easier.
Speaking of which, Sarah, there's something here that I think you should have a look at.
What, more trouble?
Let's say another breach of security involving an officer.
Meg Morris. Oh, it's going to take me some time to read this properly.
Well, it may be some time before the governor can see you. Perhaps you'd like to go to the staff room. You'll have some privacy there.
Oh, yes, I'll do just that. Thank you.
Well, you look as though you've had your fill of Wentworth for the day. Or has Wentworth had its fill of you?
I suppose you must feel pretty proud of yourself. Do you always get your own way?
Most of the time. I'm a pretty poor loser.
Well, congratulations. This time you win. I'm leaving Wentworth. Does that make you happy?
Will you watch it, Lizzie?
Who was in the workshop? Babs. And she reckons it's a beaut idea, only they can't get it done today because Po-Face is standing over them. They have to get an order out.
Oh, well, we're in no hurry. Mackenzie's not going anywhere.
Saw Mrs. M in the corridor. I don't think she's changed her mind about leaving.
Why would she? She's as fed up with the freak as we are.
Well, that stinks, I reckon. Can't we do something to make her stay?
I was thinking of talking to Mrs. Davidson. She can't be too keen on Mrs. M leaving either.
All right, you lot, get back to work.
I'd like to make a formal request to see the governor, please, Miss Ferguson.
What about?
A personal matter.
I think the governor's far too busy to be bothered with you, Smith.
Is that right? Why don't you ask her?
Watch it, Smith, or you'll be on a charge.
Well, if that's the only way I can get to see her, okay, but I did ask nicely.
You're a fool.
I'd like to discuss my state of mind with you, Miss Ferguson, but unfortunately, it's against regulations.
Hurry in. Miss Ferguson tells me you have a personal problem, Smith.
We all do, Mrs. Davidson. Mrs. Morris's resignation.
That has nothing to do with the women. If an officer wishes to leave, she is perfectly at liberty to do so.
But that's the point. She doesn't want to leave, does she?
Did she tell you that?
How could she? She's not allowed to talk to us.
That is a long-standing rule, Smith, and all the officers must obey it.
Oh, come off it. It's a rule that's never enforced because it's unworkable and you know it. If the screws and the women are not allowed to communicate, how are you going to know what the problems are?
I do not wish to discuss it.
Mrs. Morris is the only screw who gives a damn about the women.
And it's her decision, no one else's.
Okay. We know who's responsible. We'll just take a few more points off the chart.
I thought we'd lost those ridiculous charts.
Oh, we have, several times. But they keep turning up like the proverbial bad penny. And we're all looking forward to what happens when the points fall to zero.
And what is supposed to happen then?
You know what happens when the women get out of hand. Riots. Fire.
Are you threatening me, Smith?
No. It's not a threat. Just a friendly warning from one who knows.
This was supposed to be finished by lunchtime. If it's not done by this afternoon, you stay here till it is.
Yes, Miss Ferguson. Gone. How'd it go, Pete? What did Davo say?
Sweet F.A. She reckons that if she wants to leave, there's nothing she can do about it. Gave her a scare, though. I told her I'd reduce the screw's points to zero.
Oh, come off it, Bea. We've got to do more than that.
Yeah. You know, I reckon we've been working too hard lately. About time we took a break. So where's up tomorrow morning? We're on strike.
Yay!
We've spread the word this evening. Tomorrow after brekkie, we all go down to the rec room, sit down nice and peaceful, and if the screws want any work done, well, let them get their own hands dirty for a change.
Yeah. What the hell are they up to? Come on, you lot! Muster! Not here.
Must be in the rec room. It's the only place they have access to on this floor. Go and get some other officers.
Oh, come on, we can find out what's going on.
No. We don't know what they're up to. I'm not going to have anyone walking into a trap. Go and get the officers from the East Wing.
Oh, we should have laid in some tucker. I bet they won't feed us.
We've only just had breakfast. You're everlastingly thinking of your stomach.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking ahead, that's all. Here they come. Whole mob of them.
All right. What's going on?
We're on strike. What does it look like?
Don't be smart. Now get back to work, the lot of you.
Looks unanimous to me.
What do you want?
We're not allowed to discuss our grievances with officers, Mrs. Powell. You should know that.
Oh, don't play silly games with me, Smith.
We'll speak to no one but the governor.
Well, she's not in. She had to go to court.
We're in no rush.
Lock them in, Miss Ferguson. We're wasting our time.
Hey, B, what's a 5-letter word for idiot?
Try drongo.
D, won't fit in.
Right small.
Oh, yeah.
Smith, I want to talk to you.
Did you hear something?
Oh, yeah. It was me. I had baked beans for brekkie.
Smith?
Hey, Maxine.
Yes.
One of the screws is breaking the rules again.
Oh, no. Well, that's what rules are made for, B.
Excuse me.
You don't think this ridiculous strike is going to solve anything? Mrs. Morris resigned because she'd have been fired otherwise. You're fighting the department on this one.
Then you'd better hope we win, hadn't you?
Well, what are we going to do, B? They're just going to keep us here till we all die of starvation.
Are you still on about your stomach? You know it takes approximately 30 to 40 days before you actually snuff it.
Oh, that long? We can't stay cooped up all that time.
No, Screws won't let that happen, will they,
Of course not. Anyway, this is a labour strike, not a hunger strike. We will go to the dining room as usual. Even if they herd us off to ourselves afterwards, it doesn't get any work done.
Yeah, but supposing they don't open the gate.
We will cross that bridge when we come to it.
All right.
I understand you have spoken to Mrs. Morris and she has explained the situation.
Oh, all right, Mrs. Davidson. So the situation has changed since we first decided to go on strike. It was bad enough when we thought Mrs. Morris was being forced out. But now we know that she was only one step ahead of the firing squad, led, of course, by Miss Ferguson.
This has nothing to do with Miss Ferguson. There is nothing more I can do to meet your demands, so I suggest you go back to work or you will be penalised.
Then it's only fair to warn you, Mrs. Davidson. If Mrs. Morris leaves this prison, so does Miss Ferguson, one way or another.
He used to give me roses. I wish he could again. But that was on the outside, and things were different then. On the inside, the sun still shines, and the rain falls down. But the sun and rain are prisoners too. When morning comes around, last night I dreamed we were together, sharing